Welcome back to some more Elite Speak, and I am here with your AEW Dynamite review for September 9th, 2020. And it was quite the episode, a great rebound from the All Out pay-per-view. We had the fallout from All Out tonight, and the show opens up with both Chris Jericho and MJF arriving in their respective vehicles. They got out, faced one another, and Jericho says that MJF got robbed by Mox. It never should have happened. And Jericho guarantees he'll be the next champ soon. MJF then says that means the world to him. The fact that Jericho had to touch that soulless ginger prick is criminal. And he was referring to Orange Cassidy there. He said that one day he's going to get his championship back. And then they both walked away. And as the camera was on both in their separate moments, they both said, "What a loser." And then just kept on walking. So these two are obviously going to do something together in the future. We don't know what, but the seeds have been planted for months now. The last time they were in the ring together, they were going at it promo-wise, talking about, are you going to join the Inner Circle? Many, many months ago back. This was before the pandemic. I think it was last year. It's a nice little start. And then we got the credits for the show. And we opened it up with the first match, and that was the Lucha Brothers versus the Jurassic Express. And guess what? This match was supposed to be the Jurassic Express's TV debut matchup, but it didn't happen because Luchasaurus was injured at that time. This was back in October last year. I believe it was the second or third episode. But instead, we got the matchup of Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt versus the Lucha Brothers. Not this time. Not this time. So, both teams started in the ring due to the time constraints. There were no entrances. Only the live crowd got those. Jungle Boy and Phoenix starts the match off. Jungle Boy gets a Cazadora off on Phoenix, but Phoenix returns the favor with a springboard backflip arm drag of his own. Lucha Brothers deliver an assisted splash on Jungle Boy as Penta gets tagged in. Penta went for a package pile driver, but Jungle Boy escaped and tagged in Luchasaurus. He still gets crowd chants at this point. The fans still love them some Luchasaurus. Pentagon went for his Cero Miedo taunt with Luchasaurus, but Luchasaurus didn't let him finish. And Penta tries it again, and he gets a crossbody off on Luchasaurus. Jungle Boy later gets a Tope Suicida off on Phoenix, then goes for another dive, but Penta hits him in the back and pushes him into Phoenix's boot on the outside. Luchasaurus later gets the hot tag, and he goes wild on both the Lucha Brothers. He delivers a knee to Phoenix and later delivers a stand before time choke toss to Phoenix. This was a pretty high. He got a lot of air off this chokeslam toss to Phoenix. Later, Phoenix hits a gory driver on Jungle Boy, and Pentagon later gets the tag and sling blades Luchasaurus and backstabbers Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy then gets hit with the package pile driver for a 2 count due to a delayed pin from Phoenix. Pentagon later Canadian destroys. I think he hit Jungle Boy with it. After the Canadian Destroyer, the match ended. The Jurassic Express picks up the win. Post-match, the Lucha Brothers get angry at one another as the Butcher and the Blade step in the ring to help ease this tension going on. Eddie Kingston then grabs his mic and gets the troops together. He delivers a speech that could make any man drop what they're doing to hear what he has to say. The Lucha Brothers later refused to shake hands. Eddie got the troops together, as he has been doing for a few weeks now. And he later proclaimed that he wasn't eliminated from the Battle Royale. as he winked at us and the segment was over. Some folks did make mention of that back at the All Out Battle Royale. They claimed that he was never eliminated because he didn't go over the ropes. But if that's the case and it wasn't planned, AEW is rolling with it and they're incorporating it into a storyline, which is nice. They're not just going to ignore it. This shows that they know if they screwed up or not. Match-wise, I give the match a 3. It was definitely a Dynamite TV match. Good stuff. After that, we got a Lance Archer and Jake Roberts promo. Jake says, you may be able to play over there in your fancy cars. He's talking about Mox here. But we're into trashing cars and people. We like it just like getting wet. Might as well enjoy it. You're going to piss yourself when we get a hold of you. And Lance later says, in the end, everybody dies. Promo did what it had to do. Got the message across. Lance is seeking out Jon Moxley. The next segment was Matt Hardy's promo statement. And a lot of people were interested in this due to what happened at the All Out pay-per-view with Matt Hardy's fall. His scary fall. As he walks out through the entrance ramp and gets in the ring, he's greeted with chants and cheers. He says, wow, thank you guys. It's so amazing to actually be in an arena with a live audience to feel and revel in your emotion. You're a part of our magic. Thank you. He said Saturday he suffered a very scary fall. He knows it frightened a lot of people. The outpour of love has been humbling. He's very happy standing in front of us, and he's expected to make 100% recovery. He says he'll take being the lucky man alive, despite what his shirt said, which is I don't die. He says he'll take being lucky. And Rebby was in attendance with their son, and their other 2 sons were at home watching. He said hi to them. Matt says he's sorry he put us through that, and the fans showed him how much they cared. He apologized that the All Out Broken Rules match didn't end like he wanted. It's time for him to get back to getting healthy. It's time for Hardy to chase his first AEW Championship. Without us, there would be no Matt Hardy. And that was the end of the promo. He pretty much cleared up what happened at All Out. He apologized for putting everyone through that. And by doing this, he made AEW look good. He made Tony Khan look good. Made everyone in the back who was responsible for that decision to continue the match or whatever happened at All Out. It's all water under the bridge now, and we can all move forward, and hopefully AEW learns from what transpired there. Nice segment. It was all said from the heart from Matt Hardy, and I'm sure he meant every word. Next match, we had Angelico of TH2 versus Orange Cassidy. Angelico locks in on Orange's hands and locks in a Navarro Dose as Orange Cassidy tries to break out of it. Orange goes for a swinging DDT, but Angelico counters with a submission, and Orange Cassidy gets the rope break. Cassidy then hits an elbow suicida and gets a crossbody off from the top ropes and hits his swinging DDT. Orange Cassidy then hits his orange punch and gets the win. Post-match, Santana and Ortiz beat down Orange Cassidy. But of course, later, the best friends come out to help, and Santana and Ortiz skedaddled out of that ring. Chuck then says, you ding-dongs want to attack us from behind? Fellas, this has got to end. Next Dynamite, meet us in the damn parking lot. Trent says the apology you wanted next week, you can shove it up each other's asses. Next week, we aren't hugging. We're coming to hurt you and to make my mama proud. Best friends then get their hug in at the end of their promo. Good stuff. It set up a blood feud match for next week's show, and it should be good. I like the fire that Chucky T possesses when he delivers his promos. Good stuff. The Orange Cassidy versus Angelico match gets I want to say a 3, but I guess I'll give it a 2.5. I liked Angelico's submissions, his submission holds and such, but I felt that he had better matches on Dark than this one. 2.5 for this match, close to being a Dynamite TV match, but not quite. It was missing something. It wasn't a bad match, but next segment we had Alex Marvez attempting to get a word from the Young Bucks. He was outside of their locker room. He knocked a few times but got no response, but he finally did get a response, and it wasn't what he hoped. As soon as the door opened, both of the Bucks super kicked Alex Marvez in his face as he got laid out on the floor. And later, the Young Bucks would pay for this because they got fined for attacking an announcer. So the Young Bucks are showing their heel side, which is great. All of the Elite, except for Hangman Page, seem to be going heel. Perfect. Heel Bucks are best for business, in my opinion. Next up was one of the better segments of the night because of who shows up. We had Kip Sabian's Best Man announcement. Tony Schiavone was in the ring interviewing Kip Sabian for this segment, but Tony says, "Congrats from all of us." And then Kip says, "Can I help you?" He would have asked JR and tells Tony Schiavone to get out of here. Tony Schiavone leaves the ring, and then Kip says, "Everyone wants to know who's the best man." They said, "Can I be the best man?" But first, he attempts to get the best man out there, and then out comes a man named Puff. He's the best, but the best at subscribing. Don't forget to resub next month, he said. He's loyal. He's handsome. He shares the same passion as me. Then out walks Brian Pillman Jr. He says, "Thanks, Kip. I got your text. I'm so excited." He said, "You're the best, but we're not even friends." He says, "Get out of here and hope your B-Day sucks." And then on the third try, which is the charm, he said, "Let's try it one last time." And then he introduced the best man, and out comes Miro, formerly known as Rusev of WWE fame. He walks out all Gucci'd up with blonde hair and a black beard. As soon as he gets in the ring, he hugs Kip and he says, 10 years in the same house, same glass ceiling with an imaginary brass ring. And then he says, "Well, you can take that brass ring and shove it up your ass." He says, "My name is Miro and I'm all elite." And he tosses the mic to the ground, and there goes the segment. Great announcement. I thought it was funny. It was cool. I also like that most of the segment was done referencing Twitch terms such as subscribing, resubbing, and all that stuff. I found that hilarious. Most of us gaming enthusiasts would know what all that meant. But it was a good segment. I didn't mind it. It got the job done, and it introduced Miro to the AEW faithful. And some find it funny that he ended his career in WWE in a wedding angle, and he debuts in AEW in a wedding angle, coming full circle. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in AEW and how they pair him up with Kip, it seems. We shall see where they go with this. Color me intrigued. Good stuff. Miro looked hype. He looked excited to be there. He looked to be glad to be free of the shackles that he once had. And I'm looking forward to that intensity he's going to bring to AEW. Next, we got a Tony Schiavone and Adam Page interview. Page said FTR shouldn't have been the contenders in the first place. He said Kenny was right. Matt and Nick should have won the gauntlet. It's his fault he lost his best friends. He was stupid enough to believe the FTR. Despite everything, he claims they're the best team in the world. He's talking about him and Kenny Omega. And he said it'll be a test to reclaim those titles. So Page wants to continue. He doesn't mind continuing as a team with Kenny Omega, but Omega doesn't seem to want it that way. So we got quite the dichotomy here of how the Elite are feeling. The story is getting more interesting as the weeks go. Shall see where they go with it. Chris Jericho, and Jake Hager versus Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. Kiss and Janela get a flapjack and a double drop kick off on Jericho. After this, Jericho attempts to take down Kiss on his own. Janela and Kiss later deliver stereo drop kicks from the top rope to both Hager and Jericho. Janela then delivers a tope to Jericho and then grabs a chair from under the ring and decks Jericho in the back with it. Janela launches off a chair and attempts to splash Jericho, but he instead gets a back suplex off on Janela as he clips the chair. Kiss is later brought down from the top rope to a split via Hager, but he pays the price afterwards. Hager later sets a trash can on Kiss and goes for a Hager bomb, but Kiss uses the trash can to his advantage. Jericho later catapults Janela into Hager and he tosses Janela into a table from the ramp. Kiss later hits his X's and O's on Jericho in the corner, and Jericho later sprays Sonny on the top rope with a fire extinguisher, and Jake Hager hits him with a Uranagi slam to get the win. And it seems like this was a one-off match. No feud with Janela and Kiss. Post-match, Jericho says, "Give us some love, baby." The Inner Circle had a terrible night at All Out. He says Jericho and Hager are going to build up their wins to get to the tag titles. Jericho and Hager are now a tag team going forward, it seems. The match, I give that a 2.5 for effort. Not quite a TV match, in my opinion, but it would have fit well on Dark, I believe. It was fine, but not Dynamite worthy, I would say. Next, we had an MJF segment. He blames Mox for cheating to win the match. He says he figured out who's to blame, and it's the campaign. It was supposed to give hope to the hopeless. He instead fires everyone. He says Nina now smiles, but she now chooses this time to smile. He insults her and gets her to run out the room afterwards. After that, he belittles Wardlow, and then he says, I sign off on his checks. He says, I sign off on Wardlow's checks. Quite frankly, he's MJF's only friend. If he doesn't get it together, he'll have to put Wardlow and his family on the street. And after Wardlow calms down a bit, after MJF got in his face about the money issue and such, MJF says it's now time to get back to where we belong. And that was it. So in this segment, MJF pretty much killed off his campaign that he was leading going into All Out. That's now over and done with. No more MJF 2020. What he would do this time, what he would do from now, we shall see. I do believe a feud with Wardlow is in the works, but it may not be sooner than we think. Seeds were further planted there. He's still not done with Mox, so we can still see that before the end of the year. Next segment, we had Jon Moxley. He commented on Lance winning the Battle Royale. He says it's not getting any easier, is it? There are no shortcuts around here. You can't campaign to become champion. The only way is to climb a mountain of crap to get there. In his heart, Mox knows he's unstoppable. He says, you see Archer and you see a monster. but Moxie's a man. One question you need to ask, do you really want to bet against me? And that was the end of the Mox segment. Mox's promo game is on point still. The next segment, we had the FTR celebration. Tully says, you heard a lot of things from a lot of people. If Mox is the greatest champ AEW has got, these individuals are the greatest in the world. Fear the revelation. Everyone fought hard in the heat, but at the end, it was Dax and Cash who got the 1, 2, 3. They became the best tag team in the world. Cash says it's true. AEW has the deepest and best tag teams in the world. There are no slouches in the division. Cash said they had to fight for every victory. Don't let that record fool you. Next week, the Jurassic Express faces FTR. He said, but don't get it twisted. It ain't for the belts. If they beat them, sure. They propose they have a toast, but Luchasaurus gets some papers in his face to end the celebration. Marco then gives the champs an ice bath as he picked up the cooler and dumped it on side of Tully and FTR as they were huddling outside the ring. And I said that had to hurt. That's got to hurt. But it probably felt nice as well because it must have been hot there. Everyone then gets their piece of cake, and the segment put over the fact that FTR has made no friends in the division. So they pretty much have targets on their backs, more so than a face team would. I like the segment. Entertaining. Got the point across. Next, Darby comes out, whom happened to be Ricky Starks, doing some Darby Allin cosplay once again. I love this segment. It really happened, he said. I got injured. I dislocated my pinky and can't skateboard with my friends. You're right. You write it on your jacket, your skateboard. Darby is relentless. Or are you reckless? There's a reason why you're sitting at home right now. It's because you're reckless. He proceeded to belittle Darby's name. And Starks is a great promo. And I hope they keep giving him a mic, because this guy knows how to talk. Interesting and good segment. Next match we had Tay Conti, newly signed Tay Conti, versus Nyla Rose. Tay Conti goes in on Rose to start the match. She just started flailing, trying to take Rose down. Rose later tosses Conti outside the ring. Well, actually, Rose later tosses Conti across the ring. Conti then rolls up Rose for a 2 count. Later goes for a knee bar on Rose, and Rose gouges Tay's eye to free herself. Later, Conti is on the outside, and Vicky can't help herself, but gets involved in the match behind the ref's back and punches Tay in the face. Conti attempts an armbar on Rose after the break. Rose then gets the beast bomb off on Conti for the win. Post-match, Vicky grabs a mic and screams into our ears. Sheeta then comes out to save Conti from further attack from Rose. I think this sets up Tay Conti to lose and join the Dark Order, because Anna Jay constantly tries to recruit her to join, because those two teamed in the Tag Team Cup tournament and they were pretty over. So it's only natural that they get the team of Tay J back together. And since Anna Jay is in the Dark Order and the Dark Order turns losers into winners, Tay Conti lost her debut match. She's a loser right now. She might want to join, but Sheeta came out to help her, so that could be something also. Sheeta could play some kind of role in this. Or she could be facing Nyla. Nyla could possibly be getting that title back sooner or later. We shall see going forward. I hope they keep elevating the women's division like they're doing, giving them some nice noteworthy opponents, etc. Next week we have Ivelisse going up against Thunder Rosa, NWA's Thunder Rosa, for their title, which should be good. Just need more of that on Dynamite. Match wise, I give that a A 2.5, yet again. 2.5, not quite Dynamite worthy. I know they can do better, but the match was there to just tell a story of Conti losing. So 2.5, not quite Dynamite worthy, not quite TV worthy, almost, but more dark worthy. Next, we had a Kenny Omega and JR sit down segment. Kenny said he was a champ and now he's not. When you've done this for 20 years, it's a part of the game. Kenny said he was supposed to be the ace, but he didn't have a direction. It wasn't until Page that he found a different purpose, and that was in the tag division. JR said, you earned the respect of the fans. What's next for Omega? He said, we've got a deep division. For us to get there, we had to dig deep. What he learned about Hangman was something else. Says he got his own goals, and he plans to return to the singles action to give the fans what they want. Could that be the cleaner? Will we be going back to match of the night, Kenny Omega from New Japan? We shall see. It should be good. I'm ready for this ride. I'm sure Omega can deliver. And finally, we had the main event, TNT Championship title match. Dustin Rhodes versus Mr. Brodie Lee, the champion. This was a good match. This was the best match of the night, in my opinion. Worth a watch. I'm sure you know what rating this is probably going to get. So, Brodie Lee turned his back on Dustin as the ring announcements were going on in the ring. And Dustin used this opportunity to get the upper hand on Lee. He strikes him in the back. Lee gets backdropped onto a sturdy table on the outside. They tussle. The tussle then spills into the ring, and the match officially starts. Lee then chops Rhodes twice, but Dustin returns the favor. Dustin then gets 20 punches in on Lee in the corner. Brodie catapults Dustin into the steel ropes before the break. We come back from the break. Dustin gets the better of Lee and gets off his patented power slam. Dustin went for the Canadian Destroyer, but Brodie shrugged it off. Dustin hit a Hurricanrana, then followed it up with a sunset flip to Brodie. Dustin hit the crossroads on Lee, but he kicks out at 2. Lee then powerbombs Dustin for a 2 count. Brodie went for a big boot in the corner, but misses. Dustin later cannonballs Lee to the outside. Dustin hits his unnatural kick to Lee as Silver distracts the referee, but afterwards gets a power slam to him. Dustin then hits a pile driver to Brodie Lee for a rope break. Both later trade strikes in the middle of the ring. Then Dustin kicks Lee and power slams him. Then Lee hit 2 super kicks to Dustin, followed by his discus clothesline for the win. I enjoyed that last sequence before the pin. Good stuff. Lee retains his title. The Dark Order comes to the ring to celebrate, but Mr. Brodie is still upset with Colt Cabana because he cost him the win at All Out, so he pushes him to the side and leaves the ring. Evil Uno then comes in to comfort Colt because he knows what it's like. He knows what it's like to be pushed around by Mr. Brodie Lee. He gets it. Later, Mr. Brodie delivers a low blow to Dustin with the help of the Dark Order. And that was the end of the show. Good stuff. Match-wise, I give that match. That was a 3.5. I give that match a 3.5. Definitely Dynamite worthy, and not far from being pay-per-view worthy. It was a good match. I liked it. It showed off what both of the big guys can do. 2 vets doing what they do best. And I thought it was a great Dynamite episode. It did what it had to do. It's mostly a promo-heavy show. It moved stories along, new stories from All Out. New stories were moved, and we got introduced to some new characters going forward. And we shall see how it all unfolds within the coming months leading up to Full Gear. Undoubtedly, the episodes to follow this will be wrestling heavy, because that's how AEW does it. If they need a story episode, they will do it. And it won't be bad, unlike other beds out there. But there you have it. There is your AEW Dynamite review for September 9th, 2020. I have the ratings from that night. I have the ratings numbers for you. Dynamite went unopposed to NXT, but they did have competition from the NBA games. But despite all that, AEW wound up with a 1.01 million viewers on the night. That is a great number, and that's the first time AEW has hit 1 million viewers in a long time. Actually, all year. This is the first time all year AEW hit 1 million viewers. And this is their 4th time in the million mark since their launch, really. There you have it. AEW had a great rating on the night. Thanks for listening and watching. Have a good one.